Welcome, Android duplicates, unit personnel, and the original space rhinos to this, the 261st episode of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 13th of June, 2018, and I'm losing my breath, featuring The Android Invasion, written by Terry Nation and starring Tom Baker as the Doctor, Elizabeth Sledden as Sarah Jane Smith, Nicholas Courtney as the Brigadier, John Levine as Sergeant Benton, and Ian Martyr as Harry Sullivan. My name is Randy Ronson McCulloch, and with me on the panel tonight is our technical director, Mad Matt Winchell.
That which does not kill you makes you stronger.
Aaron Romeo Moon Burke.
Hello.
And Thomas Fireheart.
Thankfully, I'm not that sick this week.
Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, is still in Spain this week, but should, I will stress should, be with us next week. And Tim the Enchanter Sheridan is running late tonight and may be in about 45 minutes to an hour if we're still streaming. All right. So how's your week been, everybody?
Meh.
Other than attempted heat stroke yesterday, I'm fine.
Matt's trying to kill himself from heat prostration. I'll admit it's been unseasonably warm this year. Our June is feeling like August.
Like early August or late July, and yeah, it's already starting to hit.
At least we're still getting rain here.
A little bit.
On and off. Otherwise, we're going to be in drought, and that's usually bad for up here.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Tom has been sick this past week, and Aaron's been at work mostly.
I've been watching E3 stuff. Devolver Digital.
Oh yeah.
Nailed it again.
Devolver Digital and Bethesda are, despite what some people have been saying, are definitely highlights of it this year.
Yeah.
I have to say the worst one so far actually was Square Enix.
Why was they pretty boring, or?
They were literally nothing but trailers. They just had a quick introduction from the president of the company, and they just went to trailers, and that was it. And they even have a Avengers game coming up, and they didn't even mention it at all. That, and also they're hiding the fact that they got the rights bought out from under them for the Hitman series, so the original producers are actually in full control again, because Square pretty much kind of told them, make it chapter segmented things like the Life is Strange series did it. Only that Life is Strange actually works with that kind of setup, and something like Hitman does not, and that killed that last Hitman game.
Well, Square's known for making dumb decisions. Anyway, on to Doctor Who. On tonight's show, we have birthdays. We do not have news.
That's it.
There's no news.
Anything pretending to be news, Randy has systematically gone through it and gone, this is unreliable.
Yeah, that is why there is going to be some rumor mill stuff, but I'm going to rapid fire the two big things that have been hitting the rumor mill recently. I'm going to debunk them if I can. And then after that, I don't know. Do you think any of the movies that you saw this week were Geek Talk worthy, Thomas?
I mean, one was a heist movie and the other was a horror movie, so it kind of depends.
Well, we'll have time, so you can give brief opinions on both. And then we're going to move on to our episode news and reviews and everything. And then Tim, if he joins us, can catch up if he can. If not, he'll review of Shame next week, when we hopefully have some news.
Hopefully.
Anyway, so birthdays, we do have a few birthdays. The first one, the 8th of June, the big birthday is the birthday of Colin Baker. The 6th Doctor turned 75. Also, on the same day, Peter Grimwade, who was the director and writer from 1981, well, he wrote various things from 1981 to 83, would have been 76, but died in 1990 at 47. The next day, on the 9th of June, is the birthday of David Troughton, who played King Peladon twice and is the son of Patrick Troughton. He turned 68. On the 11th of June, we had Kit Pedler, writer in the 1960s, was involved, I think, in like 10th Planet and a few things. Would have been 91, but died in 1981 at 53. And then 12th June sees the birthday of Simon Callow, who played Charles Dickens in the new series, played him twice, turned 69.
Mm-hmm.
So happy birthday, Colin, Peter, David, Kit, and Simon. And then we would move on to news, but there's no news, so we will go straight to the rumor mill. And there has been what I'm basically referring to as rapid fire stupidity hitting the rumors. A lot of it, and the big stupidity is there's a lot of people posting on Twitter, Facebook, whoever, saying, "Oh yeah, John Barrowman's going to be on Doctor Who this week or this season. Eve Miles is going to be on Doctor Who this season." No, you know, and the answer to all of this is no. The news hit John Barrowman, and he basically replied on his Twitter account going, "What? News to me, and if he doesn't know, it ain't happening."
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And the same with Eve Miles saying, "No, I am not in Doctor Who this season." So, yeah, if you're hearing that somebody from the past is going to be in Doctor Who, it's false.
Lies in deceit.
And if it is true, nobody's heard jack shit about it and has been deliberately instructed to lie. But as far as what we've heard is that no, there's going to be no returning characters this season.
I mean, hell, this is the BBC. If that was going to be a thing, like what they did with John Sim, they would have announced it by now.
Well, unless of course the fact is that Chris Chibnall has some kind of written signed contract stating we will get to decide when press is released in order to prevent that kind of stupidity. But thus said, as far as we can tell, as far as what we're being told, that's all false.
Mm-hmm.
The next rumor, and this came out this week, is that Doctor Who is filming in Spain right now. And to that, I have to say maybe. We've seen it from a couple of people on Twitter, but we've gotten no verification pictures, nothing from any of the people that actually are in the show that we're aware of. Just somebody said Doctor Who's filming in Spain. Not even a location in Spain, just Spain. That's not enough to say for certain they're right.
That's a lot of shade.
But at the same time, we can't say they're wrong either.
Mm-hmm.
So that we have to chalk that in the maybe. It's not enough to report as news, but it's a rumor. Anyway, that's really the big two rumors that are out there that I had to talk about. And that's the end of the rumor, Phil. And on to the Geek Talk. So what movies did you see, and did you like them?
Well, on Monday, I saw Ocean's 8, and the funny thing is I hadn't seen any of the other Ocean's movies before, but the trailer for this actually got me interested, so I went and saw it, and I actually liked it. There was certain, like, the fact that Rihanna is in it, I was like, I don't know, she's not an actress, but to be honest, she's not that bad. And generally, I didn't feel like any of the actors were like phoning it in or whatever. Some have more to do than others, obviously. But generally the movie I felt was pretty good. And I think there's like one twist that they don't really play up as a huge thing that was like, oh, wow, okay. That kind of caught me off guard. But other than that, yeah, generally that was a good movie, and The other one I saw was yesterday, and that was Hereditary. And I'm
Ooh,
not going to say.
I
All I'm going to
just
say
heard
for
about
her.
this movie.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is, don't watch a trailer for it. If you haven't already. If you can avoid watching trailers for it, avoid trailers, avoid synopsis, avoid anything, and just go into it as blind as possible because holy shit, that movie. If you like horror movies, there's a good chance you will like this movie because I'm glad that I went in as blind as possible because this movie surprised the hell out of me.
All right.
I hear that a mass majority of it is really good, and this is from stingy people.
Hmm.
All right. That's all you have to say about those?
Yep.
All right. Moving on, video games. I guess the big news that came out was what Elder Scrolls is coming out with a new game now, according to Bethesda.
They are developing it now, yes.
All right.
Mm.
They're coming out with Fallout 66 at the end of the year. I mean, it's E3, so it's like, all the freaking news is coming out.
Todd Howard is a god.
Um,
Todd Howard is also a huge tease.
Freaking tease.
I'm trying to remember if there's any other, uber big news that came out.
Mm.
Oh, well, yeah, they released the E3 official trailer for Cyberpunk 2077, and God, I want that game.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on what your interests are, they unveiled the new Smash Brothers game, and
Oh, that's
how the
right.
fact that every character to have ever appeared in a Smash game before will be in this new one.
Now they don't have to worry about things like media restrictions now for games. They can just download all the Smash characters directly to your console. So, yeah, why not?
And that includes, by the way, the third-party characters such as Snake, Pac-Man, and several others.
Mm-hmm.
And their newest addition, which is a brand new character to the list, is Ridley from Metroid.
Yeah.
Mm.
So yes,
Sure.
literally the biggest character in the game. And the introduction
Alright.
trailer was fun too, because it's Samus, Mario, and who's the other one?
Mega Man, I think.
Mega Man. That's right. It was the three of them walking down a quiet corridor. All of a sudden, one by one, you see the first two behind Samus get swiped away by a shadow. She kind of looks side to side, sighs, turns around, and sure enough, suddenly Ridley.
Of course.
And then they show off some Ridley's moves and the fact that Ridley's like almost 2 levels tall.
Nice that they included Mega Man in the trailer at this point, because isn't it his anniversary right now?
Is it again? I can't remember. I also actually, speaking of which, in the trailer for the new Smash Brothers, they included every version of Mega Man.
Mm.
There's like several of them at this point.
All right. Anything else big that you can think of? I mean, I think Ubisoft released information on the newest Assassin's Creed game, but they do that every year, pretty much.
They said they would stop doing that, but apparently not.
Well, nearly. I mean, last year they released Origins, and this year they're now releasing Odyssey, which is taking place in ancient Greece.
Yeah.
Making
Which
it-
the funny thing is, this might be the first Assassin's Creed game I skip because it just doesn't feel like an Assassin's Creed game. Hell, this is set before Origins, so
Yeah,
they're not
which
even
was
technically Assassins.
which was billed as the first Assassin's Creed game, and
Yeah.
now they have one coming out like about 500 years earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, if they'd had one that was going on in like the later Roman Empire, like 200 AD, I could have bought that. But this one, I'm a little what the fucky, except for the fact that I really like Greek, ancient Greece, and the mythos involved with it. So that I might have to get it just to see with that.
We have more information, but not all the information on Fallout 76.
Yeah, which is due out this year, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
It is apparently it is apparently a soft survival game, which makes it like Conan Exiles.
Sort of. There's some weird stuff about it.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna do instead of like Conan Exiles, they do it like Dark Souls because your progress.
That's what some of it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like when you build stuff, the only people that can really see the stuff you've built might be your friends if you're in a group.
I'm not certain about that.
Yeah, even that's kind of iffy. It's not a sure thing. They're being very iffy on details. They also are planning a Elder Scrolls game for smartphones, which will eventually be translated over to systems and PC, just like Fallout Shelter was when they added on major content updates.
Yeah, and these Elder Scrolls Blades.
Elder Scrolls Blades, yeah. So you'll be officially the first member of the Blades to not suck. Believe me, I've been playing Oblivion. I can take an entire room of these guys. I just finished the main story of Oblivion, but there's still some stuff to do yet. I can take an entire room of Blades. They're nothing.
And there's a village building.
Oh yeah, and they got village building, and they've got dungeon delving, and all this other stuff going on for it. So it's like, oh, this is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And they want it to be like Skyrim quality, or as close as they can get to being that way, on a smartphone.
Be pretty awesome.
So if they manage to actually get that to work right, that would be great. And that means it'll also work silky smooth on almost any PC at that point too, when they port it.
All right. I think that's enough on the video game news.
There's not much other news.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So, who wants to do the summary this week? Because I've done my 2 weeks in a row, like I mentioned. And I hear crickets.
I can do it if it's necessary.
Apparently, you're the only one that even has stepped that far.
All right.
As Thomas and I slowly back out of the room.
Wow, guys, was this one really that hard to follow?
It was. I was thoroughly bored with it.
Wow.
Let's save the review till after the summary, please. All right, Matt, you ready?
All right.
On your mark, get set, go.
All right, the Doctor and Sarah Jane appear in the middle of a forest and decide to have a look around because they feel like they're on Earth, but there's some weird things about it. To which they meet a bunch of guys in white spacesuits that start pointing fingers and opening fire. Odd enough. The Doctor and Sarah Jane give chase and happen upon a village where Sarah had done a report a couple of years previous about an astronaut who had disappeared. Deciding that the Doctor, also having detected a strange amount of energy somewhere nearby, decides to go check out the space base and tries to make contact with anyone there to try and find a way to contact the unit brigade and try and find somebody to come over and figure out what's going on. To which, when the Doctor gets inside, he's met by only one man with who's very angry with an eye patch and decides he'd rather pick fights and hold weapons at the Doctor's head. To which he tries to make an escape, but is grabbed by not only unit members who are acting very strangely and extremely hostile, but also more of the men in the white spacesuits. The Sarah Jane makes contact finally with some of the local villagers after they very oddly walk in, and she is warned that she probably should leave and does a hasty exit, to which she does also come to the space facility, and just in time to see the Doctor getting captured. She quickly sets him free, and the both of them make a run for it. Along their run, Sarah Jane sprains her ankle and is helped into a tree by the Doctor. The Doctor drapes her scarf, I guess, along the ground, along with his own stuff, and then proceeds to drop portions of it onto the ground and makes it dive into the water to try and avoid the guard dogs. The guards double back and happen to accidentally find Sarah Jane and capture her. The Doctor tries to make a run for it back into town and manages to avoid the guards, but can't seem to find any way to contact people, while the bartender tends to him very strangely. Eventually, Sarah Jane makes contact, but the Doctor starts to figure out very quickly there's something very strange about her. First, her scarf is back. Second of all, she likes a drink that she was disgusted by at the very beginning of the first episode. The Doctor decides to take her out to where the TARDIS was, and the TARDIS has gone missing. What has happened also in the intervening time was that Sarah Jane was given a key, and her putting the key in the lock has set the TARDIS to continue on where it was supposed to be going. So they actually hadn't landed on Earth. And that's what the Doctor figures out, after also pointing out to the fake that he's very well aware that she's not the real Sarah Jane, and trying to question her. The android rips free and reveals itself as the plate mask falls off, and then proceeds to pull up a pistol and open fire on the Doctor as he runs. The Doctor is caught in town by the aliens, as I recall, and they tie him up to the center square. They got a big memorial of some kind there, and they just tie him to it and leave a bomb. Sarah Jane has been unconscious inside the alien ship and manages to overhear their plans just in time to come out and free the Doctor. The both of them barely make it back into the alien ship in time just as the explosion goes off, and they are again recaptured as the aliens, and their humanoid androids make plans to go and invade Earth with the help of the angry eye patch guy who's revealed to be the missing astronaut. They decide he has supposedly made contact with Earth and is going to appear just far enough away to be detected. And as he's coming in close, the androids will be dropped off ahead of him as a random happens spattering of meteorites. The astronaut makes his landing. The Doctor and Sarah Jane had actually escaped from the main ship and got into two of these pods, unaware that the other pods also contained a fake Doctor and fake Sarah Jane, who also then wake up and proceed to try and stop the pair. They get to the space station in time to try and thwart things. Forget what Sarah originally was supposed to be doing, but then she caught up with the Doctor later. The Doctor actually goes right into the base, gives orders for Harry Sullivan and I forget who he was, like a chief or a colonel or something.
Something like that.
He orders them to come back down because he has something very important to tell them about what's going on, and then he gives orders to one of the scientists in the control room to do some relining of wiring in some of the switching boards and try and aim the satellite contact satellite down so that he can try and fry the circuits for the androids. Long story short, the fake Doctor appears. He realizes that some of the staff have already been replaced with other androids and makes his escape. He has to make sure, though, that the plans for frying their circuitry goes as planned and goes back into the control room. He fakes his way past a android of why am I always getting his name messed up? Names I should know, and I always mess them up. I can't think of it right now. But he gets past one of the unit members, faking to be
Benton?
the android. Benton. I don't know why I just can't remember Benton lately. But he manages to get past Benton. The android Doctor comes in moments later and gets shot by the fake Benton and reveals himself to be the real android. and proceeds to try and stop the Doctor. He gets in there just in time to stop them from throwing the power on, and the battle ensues, to which the Doctor is just barely able to reach the power and stop all the androids. Meanwhile, Sarah Jane had met up with the Doctor for a little bit and helped him hide until he went back into the control room and proceeded to go up to the spaceship herself to try and free the others, including Harry. As they're getting untied, the aliens behind this discover her and hold her at gunpoint, also commenting on the fact that she managed to escape a previous attempt at poisoning her with the bacteria that they plan to kill off the Earth with the help of the androids. A struggle ensues between the alien and the Doctor. The Doctor is shot, the alien lands in his own virus, and it's revealed that the Doctor is actually still fine. He used a fake self to rewired to help fight with the alien and didn't have to get shot. Then the Doctor promises to drop off Sarah back at home on Earth, and they proceed back to the TARDIS with key in hand, I believe. Yeah, that's right. Sarah did manage to grab the key before she was attacked by the fake Doctor. So that's it. And wow, that took forever.
Yeah, that took about 7 minutes, 50 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
For a 4-episoder.
Well, this one is kind of jam-packed.
Kind of convoluted, actually. Okay. So, now we have to go with what we liked about the episode. Would be Tim up first, but Tim is not here. So, Aaron.
Okay, what I liked overall? I'm going to go ahead and say that I like Tom Baker's humor. Like his little bits here and there that just really kind of stood out. Like him, let me see here what I had. Like him just, making kind of witty remarks like, well, if it just rained, how come the ground is dry? And, that also kind of play into the overall plot. Kind of hint at other things to come. Him playing around with the aliens, the crawl or something like that.
Yeah, you keep forgetting what they're called. It's
Yeah.
like I can't be bothered to learn they only appear for this one episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just enjoyed him, like I usually do. So. Yep.
All right. Thomas, how about you?
I guess I just like that it actually takes the Doctor a while to catch on, rather than just immediately being like, well, like he knows something's off, but he's not like, oh, well, this is clearly, this alien race doing this and whatever. Like he's just slowly piecing it together rather than just immediately being like, oh, well, this is what it is, but just not saying anything.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's good. I sometimes think he's a little bit too dense at times, but then again, I think he knew it. He knew what was going on and just went along with it until he had enough all the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Matt, how about you?
Overall thing I liked. I liked the chemistry between Tom and Sarah as usual.
Yeah, they had really good chemistry.
They played off each other very well, especially considering that they also had to, at random points in the episode, be fakes of themselves and would have to confront each other.
Yep, and that actually kind of leads into what I liked about this. Is I really liked the secondary cast, in particular the unit people, able to convincingly play the android duplicates of themselves. I don't know if they were having fun doing it, but they seem to at least been able to do it enough that you got the gist of it, and
Mm.
it was good in that. So let's talk about what you didn't like. And Aaron, you are still up first.
I didn't like the fact that we had all these bullets flying through the air, and yet almost nobody ever gets shot.
18.
I think one of the technicians acts like he gets shot as he's trying to flip the switch to activate the was it the radio?
I think his arm got clipped
Yeah.
or something.
But he wasn't wearing armor.
His arm got clipped.
Oh, his arm. Oh, okay. Yeah, we don't know. All I see is him falling off to the side, but then he seems to like be kind of up on his side and moving around and like kind of acting like he's not really in all that much pain.
I thought I saw like something on one of his arms or something near there.
Well, like he's holding in one of his shoulders, I think.
No. But still,
They winged him.
Yeah.
it's a flesh wound.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that finger
I
loaded?
think I'll go for a walk now. I feel fine.
Happy?
All right. So, Thomas, how about you? What didn't you like about this episode?
I must admit, it's. I don't know if it's necessarily like just like a personal thing or like just like it's not necessarily the fault of the show. It's just my interpretation. But I honestly was disappointed that this didn't end up turning out to be the Sontarans because it actually felt like that's where it was going.
Yes.
Because like they do that like shot of one in the window, and I'm thinking that's a Sontaran. That's what that looks like, and then they sound like Sontarans, and then you finally see them, and it's like, oh, damn, that's like.
I
like...
think the problem is they had just used Sontarans last season, and they didn't want to overload us with Sontarans. But still, either the Sontarans or a new plan by the Nestine would have been nice. Like these were like Autons Mark II. I mean, they even had the the gun in the hand thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, having rewritten this as a previously occurring villain rather than this new race that was mentioned this time and then never seen again would have been nice. But nope. Okay, Matt, how about you? What did you dislike?
Mine was pretty much the same thing as Thomas's. Although Thomas was expecting it to be Sontaran, I was like, these guys would have been a lot better if they were Sontaran.
Yeah.
Actually, now that you mention it, also the Nestine consciousness would also work really well too because of some of the similarities there.
With the handguns.
There's a couple, and even also the Cybermen, because they've also used androids a couple of times now. Not at this point, but eventually they would. So there's at least a handful of classic monsters that this could have been, and it's just these kind of throwaway guys instead. Would have had at least a little more depth and a little more interest, but that was just pretty much about it.
All right. And what I'm going to say is I didn't particularly like in this. I think the writing was a little too convoluted.
Yeah.
It was too convoluted. They spent too much time on the fake world and not enough time on the real one, which you got about half an episode
episode and a half.
It was also really easy to guess that it was a fake world.
Actually, no, it was more like an actual full episode on real Earth, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have been a lot better if, first of all, things had seemed absolutely normal. And then you started seeing the little discongruities starting to pop up more and more. Leading to them eventually escaping back to Earth about halfway through the serial and then trying to stop this invasion as it's going on. in rather than trying to rush end the invasion at the end of the last episode, because it seemed to be almost anticlimactic.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think the writing could have been better paced, and it could have been of the writing could have been a little tighter. Okay, so scenes that you liked, and Aaron, you are first.
I'm going to go ahead and say the bar scene in the first episode, where everyone is just stock still, like the androids are all stock still, and Sarah's kind of watching on from the. Was she in the closet by then? I think, watching him.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah. And then the clock strikes, and then all of a sudden everyone's animated. I mean, it's a kind of a classic theater trick, but still, it's still pretty potent, and still kind of, what the fucky. So I thought it was pretty good.
All right,
Mm-hmm.
Thomas, how about you?
I guess purely for the line, because like there is a few things that I could probably go with, but purely for the specific line, I'm gonna go for like the first time Sarah Jane's helping the doctor out, just because of the whole "I'm saving you for a change."
Oh, all right.
It's actually relatively good because yes, it's by this point it's been established that the primary role of companions in Doctor Who was to get captured. I mean, that's basically what they did. Hi, Doctor. Oh, I've got captured. I think, as Eddie Izzard put it, yeah, that's pretty much what they did. They'd get captured, they'd escape, and then they'd get captured. But yeah, so it was nice to see the Doctor captured and the companion do the rescuing.
I'm here.
Tim!
You made it because we're already at favorite scenes, so we're gonna back up here.
Rewind.
Rewind, and let you talk about what you liked about the episode overall.
Okay, so what I liked about the episode overall was I really liked how this was sort of a Dr. Sarah-centric episode. Without any superfluous people getting in the way of their dynamic. That was a sort of like it was nice to revisit that again, that thing.
All right. What didn't you like then?
What I did not like was the characterization of who was it? The guy with the eye patch. That whole I know the doctor kept sort of hand waving that he's been brainwashed, but if he was brainwashed, he didn't. The actor himself didn't sell that. He just sold it as being simply naive to the point of stupidity. So
Well,
I thought that could have been handled a bit better.
Possibly. I think breaking it could have been breaking the brainwash could have been done a little better. And then what was your favorite scene?
Oh, I'd have to say my favorite scene is the scene where the doctor is hanging around in the pub and he orders a ginger beer.
God damn it.
Here. Like, oh, a pint of what, sir?
Yeah, and Tim shows up to steal my favorite scene.
Awesome!
Pharrell, now I've got to find a new favorite scene, because I think the two that were on my list have both been taken.
Oh, man.
Okay, who are we up to? Matt, were you for favorite scene, I think?
I believe I am now.
All right.
We were just at Thomas before Tim came in.
Mhm.
Favorite scene? I'll go with the Doctor doing what he does best: disarming an enemy, flipping a table, running out the door, running up to the roof somehow, avoiding all the gunfire, avoiding even more gunfire while on the roof, does a huge dive which would stun most people, lands on his feet like a cat, only to be cornered by all of his enemies all at once, pointing fingers, and looks up. Are those fingers loaded? Right, and raises his hands. Only the fourth Doctor.
Yep. Okay.
More lives than a cat.
So, favorite scene. I think it's Sarah rescuing the Doctor from being tied up with the bomb going on, and them basically arguing on how to break him out of it. Because actually, Sarah rescues the Doctor twice, but once it's an android duplicate. But the whole thing, use the
No.
screwdriver, use this setting. Yeah.
No. The fake never saved him.
Oh no, that's right. The fake never saved him. That's yeah.
She
gets
gets
to save
captured
him.
in between.
Yep. She gets to save him twice in this.
And
Not
she saved
once, but-
herself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my other. That was, I guess, my other one was the fact that you get the point where you realize that she was faking being unconscious,
Yeah.
and over that because that was really proactive companion stuff right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Sarah gets the gold star for being a companion.
Level-headed enough to just keep calm and listen.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that takes us to our least favorite scene, and Tim, you are first.
Oh boy. That means I get to steal someone's again.
Quite possibly.
Okay, so I don't know if it constitutes a whole scene, but something really made my eye twitch was when at the end, when they're welcoming the shuttle back, and the Doctor goes, "No, wait, something's wrong. Don't do it." And Harry Sullivan says, "Oh, of course not, Doctor. What's wrong?" It's like, "Yeah, you better have a good reason." And it's like, Harry, have you learned nothing? In all your, what the okay, this goes beyond density. Harry Sullivan needs to be studied at this clinic in Switzerland. Switzerland. He needs to have an entire university solely dedicated to monitoring him.
Can I help you with this, Tim?
Yes.
I think the Doctor said it best in a previous episode. Harry Sullivan's an imbecile!
Yeah, but I think his point is it goes beyond this. It goes to Philip J. Fry levels.
Mm-hmm.
Levels. You know, it's like by this point in the series, the good reason for not doing something is the fucking Doctor said not to do it.
Yeah, I mean, Nuhu, that's true. You know, the Doctor says don't do that. The unit people don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And generally kiss his ass while they don't. But yeah, here it's like you think a guy after traveling an entire season with the Doctor would know enough to say, okay, right, what's going on?
Yeah.
All right, Aaron, how about you? Your least favorite scene?
The one where the hyper aggressive android was killed. And he just he went the Krall shoots him, and just he goes flipping end over end on the floor and starts jiggling, and it's just like, oh my god, really?
Someone was very into their role today.
It's like basically Pris from Blade Runner.
You know, the thing is, I'm actually looking at this. It's like you're basically spent all this time building this hyper aggressive android just to kill it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. It's also a total waste of an android.
Just wanted
I
to
mean,
show
they
off,
must.
eh?
I know. Must have some. Maybe they can recycle it, but at the same time, you only have so many resources, dude.
Which is why they're leaving the place in the to begin with there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Thomas, how about you? Your least favorite scene?
The funny thing is, this didn't particularly bother me the first time because maybe I just wasn't concentrating hard enough. But after watching behind the scenes stuff, and they even point the floor out themselves, and then I watch it through again, and I'm like, yeah, that makes no sense. The Doctor like activates the satellite to like stop all the androids working, but then suddenly he's able to make only his start working again when he's disabled all of them, so it can do like so it can take the fall for him so he doesn't die. So it's like, well, wait a minute, shouldn't it not work right now?
It depends upon what he reprogrammed in it, I suppose. Seems like most of the androids working on an outside source. If he managed to make it go into an inside source and then rewire it to behave itself, but that sounds like it'd be a lot of stuff all at once. But then again, Sonic.
Well, remember, this isn't the modern Sonic.
No,
We
it
do
isn't.
see
But
it-
he does have some uses.
Yeah, it obviously has more than its initial usage, as we see it able to break through the steel-like vines that were binding him earlier, and I think that's the first time we see the Sonic able to do that.
It did something sort of like that in Robot, which was his first episode. He added a lance or something to it and tried to zap through a door from far away.
But he added an attachment to it.
Admittedly, at that point, he had an attachment to it, so maybe he upgraded it since then.
Yeah, I think this is where we're really starting to see the sonic screwdriver starting to evolve into the Omni tool that it became.
I call it the Deus Ex Machina device.
It's basically what it is, and that's eventually why during the Fifth Doctor era, the writers are like, yeah, we need to get rid of this. How many scripts have we gotten where it's he waves
Chekhov's
the screwdriver
Swiss Army knife.
The interesting thing is apparently there was a scene that actually explained away this, but for whatever reason they just ended up cutting it. So maybe with that extra scene that would have made more sense, but yeah, without it, it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, what?
When this happened, yep. Yeah, just going with it. Okay.
All right. So Matt, how about you? Least favorite scene?
Least favorite scene. I have to say the most of the effects were actually really well done in this episode for the most part, until you get to the first scene with the rocket, and then I start having issues again. You were doing fine, BBC. You're doing really good, and then you hit this one blue screen where nothing mashes up. And it's just like, what were you even doing? I mean, there's even a later scene where you could still see through it if you really looked closely, but it was still better than what this shot was. This was just... Oh, and I think moments later they used obvious stock footage, too, for the rocket takeoff. It's like...
Yeah. Yeah. The funny thing was, I don't think I was paying attention enough the first time I watched it through. The second time I was like, wait a minute, weren't they on a ship? Now they're in broad
totally different ship going
like,
off in stock footage. Oh no.
All right. So, kind of on a related bent, I think my least favorite scene was right after Sarah got the Doctor free, and they have to go into that area to escape this explosion. And then they get through this door, and then they're just doing this whole falling over in slow-mo bit. And it was just like, what the fuck, huh?
Mm.
So they didn't escape it and they're dead. No, apparently they managed to close the door in time. What?
I don't think the actual explosion went off of us. Essentially, they got the ripple effect and the door closed just in time before the actual burst.
Yeah, I know, but it didn't work that well. I mean, I know this is the 70s and all, but
It didn't read well, yeah.
yeah, it did not read well. Between that and the obvious blue screen of the village disappearing, where really all you need to do was a light explosion effect and it just being gone, you know?
Mm.
Yeah, I just thought that was a little bit of a weak job on the director.
Mm.
Who directed this?
Barry Letts.
Okay, that might explain it. He is not the greatest. He's better at being a better producer than he is a director. Was somebody else supposed to direct it, and they had to? And Barry had
no,
to
it
tell him?
was flat out offered to him.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a
Yeah,
sign
not
that
the-
somebody didn't know what they wanted to do with it and just went, we must just give it to him.
Was he not producing at this point? Oh yeah, that's right.
No,
it was
no.
the Hinch. It was Hinchcliffe
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
It was the
Hinchcliffe offered him the.
Hinchcliffe and Holmes.
offered
So
him.
yeah.
Hmm.
Probably they just wanted they just wanted to have Barry on the set again. All right. So yeah, that was my least favorite part of it. All right. So our final thoughts, and Tim, you're up first.
Okay, so this was a pretty cool episode with the Doctor and Sarah. I wish, was this another case of them not knowing that Unit would never appear again? Or...
I think they had meant at this point that was just something they could go back to whenever they felt like it, and then they just never went back to it.
Okay, because it didn't really feel like a proper send-off for Unit then. But,
Yeah.
I thought the aliens looked interesting. They looked like if the Sontarans had been soaked in brine and left out in the sun.
Yeah, at this point, I think they meant that maybe the Doctor was going to go back and check on Unit, like maybe once a series or once a season.
Is this after what Seeds of Doom?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
This is after Seeds of Doom. This is after. Actually, is it after Seeds of Doom? That's.
No, it's 2 serials before Seeds of Doom.
Yeah, because
Okay.
Seeds of Doom is supposed to be the final Unit story.
Because there's this, and then Brain of Morbius, and then Seeds of Doom.
Yeah, I knew Morbius was after that. I did not realize Seeds of Doom was still. But they didn't get Ian Marter back for Seeds of Doom. Who was in Seeds of Doom?
I thought Benton was the guy who played Benton. The Brigadier
Actually,
was.
I think this was actually the last of. Going from what I can recall watching, this was the last appearance of Benton.
Oh, okay. It could have just been a generic soldier that I saw. Because I think that soldier dies too, so.
Yeah, I don't actually see any of the Unit regulars in Seeds of Doom. So I think they might deal with Unit, but it's not Unit. It's not their Unit.
Yeah.
It's not my unit.
Either that or yeah, Major Beresford, who I think was that the guy in this one?
I was wondering.
Colonel Faraday.
So no.
Faraday. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Who
Yeah. 'Cause
apparently was just written in because
because the Nicholas Courtney wasn't available.
I was gonna say that's a possibility.
Yeah, because apparently it's Major Beresford is the only unit piece in Seeds of Doom.
Did we lose to Thomas?
I was gonna say, did we lose Thomas? We gained to Tim and we lost to Thomas.
Oh no! Oh no!
He's still in the
His,
chat.
his internet's been a little flaky tonight. I heard him robot out a couple of times, so give him a moment. Anyway, what
There
else
we
did
go.
you think? What else did you?
There
think?
he is.
There. What else did you have for thoughts there, Tim?
I liked the design of the androids, the ones when their face is off. It reminded me of the fembots from the Bionic Woman a little bit. And thankfully, Harry Sullivan wasn't in this episode too much.
Mhm.
Just enough to piss you off, apparently.
Yeah. But if this was the last appearance of Unit, I would have liked to have seen the Brigadier.
Well, again,
Yeah.
I think it was Nicholas Courtney just wasn't available.
Yeah, he wasn't available, so they had to write a different character in.
This episode had some pretty good ideas and it was fun. I like it. So that's my 2 cents. Sorry if we went on some tangents there, but that's the name of the game.
Mhm. Tangential.
Yep. By the way, Ian Marter after this would go on to write a screenplay called Doctor Who Meets Scratchman with Tom Baker. And unfortunately, I don't think that ever got produced because they were planning to make it into a movie, and then Star Wars came out.
Mm-mm.
And immediately Tom just went, never mind.
Yeah. It's like, we can't beat that. Yeah, it's not going to happen. All right. So, Aaron, how about you? Your final thoughts?
I don't know if my internet is
We can hear you.
okay, because it's been cutting it in and out for me too. I didn't really mind this one. It was just a little bit boring and convoluted, and I don't know. It had an interesting premise that I don't think. I don't think it was fully fleshed out. It felt like a lot of the characters from Unit were kind of missing. A lot of the people that we had come to know and love. Yeah, and so because of that, we didn't really have the attachment to what was going on. And yeah, I don't know. And like I said, I figured out that they were on a fake planet almost right away.
Mm-hmm.
So, on top of that, the eye patch dude wasn't someone that I really kind of cared about. I didn't really care about anything, to be honest, except for like Tom Baker's wit. I liked Sarah Jane Smith. And I liked seeing Benton and I do like seeing Ian back, but otherwise, yeah, it was just kind of a little bit of a mess. That kind of made it a little bit boring. Alright, that's it for me.
All right, Thomas.
Ultimately, I think the worst that I can say about this is that it's kind of forgettable. But at the same time, like, I didn't feel like I wasted my time watching it. And there's definitely enough, even if it's just like the Doctor and Sarah, at least elevate this to not being like completely unwatchable or anything like that. It's definitely like I enjoyed it. There's definitely things that I would change about it, or this, that, or whatever, or some things that don't work. But overall, I think it's okay.
All right. Matt?
I think the script suffers from needing like one more run through just for a bit of punching up. That would have solved a lot of things. That, and I think the monsters were too mundane and generic and boring. They should have been something else. But keep the android idea. The android idea was working. But other than that, an okay episode. Still some good acting from our regulars. And it's also disappointing yet again that Nicholas Courtney was not part of this, and he's obviously missed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having Nicholas Courtney for this would have made it a lot better.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to find out when this was filming. And what Nicholas Courtney would have been up to. And apparently this came out in November 75, so I imagine it was filmed in early 75. So yeah, I can't find anything that Nicholas Courtney was doing at this time. Anyway, he might have just had family issues. I don't know. Anyway, my thought on this is that, like Matt, I think that the script itself needed to go through another revision, mostly to deal with pacing and timing, see if they could have cut a little bit and relight a little bit of the first part of it and expand the second part a little bit so it didn't feel so rushed. I too would have agreed that the bad guys would have been better rewritten as the Santarans or the Nestine, just so that it would have been a nice shout out or throwback to earlier episodes, instead of this forgettable one-off race of Krauls. Other than that, the acting is good, the directing is mediocre, and the special effects have their moments and then have their not moments. All in all, I would say that this is a par-ish episode. Yeah, pretty much just kind of a par episode. Okay, so ratings. And as we rate in the order we reviewed, Tim, you get to give it first marks.
Okay, so this was a pretty good episode, but it wasn't a fantastically excellent episode, so I will be cruel and give this 4 stars.
Still, I think generous, but you say so.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Aaron.
I'm going to go ahead and give this 3 stars. It's not abysmal, but it's also kind of meh.
It happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a 3-star rating for me, is when you finish an episode and you're like, well, that happened.
That was a thing.
All right. Thomas?
I was almost considering it giving a 3.5 just for like Sarah and the Doctor, but I think I'm gonna have to go with a 3 as well.
I said 3, not 2. 3. All right. Matt?
I was mildly amused, but not greatly mildly amused, so 3.5.
3.5. And I am also going to give it a 3 for meh, that happened, which averages us out to 3.3, which watch Bill come back and have managed to see this one, give it a 3, and we wind up with an average of like 3.14. We get an episode that averages pi. That'd be awesome, but weird at the same time. So at 3.3, make sure this carried through. Yes, it did. We get to sort our data now. And we get to see where 3.3 takes us. And it takes us not very far up the list. Android Invasion comes in at number 182 of 250.
Oof.
Yeah, it is on par with, let's see, actually a few things, but let me get to the top. Vengeance of the Stones, Planet of the Daleks, In the Forest of the Night, Evil of the Daleks, Class for Tonight We Might Die, Modern Undead, Stones of Blood. It is better than Daleks Master Plan, The Mahogany Murders, The Highlanders, Destination Wars, Time Lash, The Pandorica Opens, Big Bang, Robot, Arc of Infinity, and it is worse than The Faceless Ones, Night of the Whisper, Silver Nemesis, Curse of Peladon, Androids of Terra, The Mythmakers, Trail of the White Worm, The Obsidian Adventure, Terra Firma, Doctor Who and the Daleks, The Bloodless Soldier, and The Five Doctors. So there we go. Our final score, 182 of 250. That's all we have to say about the Android Invasion.
Alrighty. So, swap that over. And so, thank you all very much for watching. If you want to catch the VODs later on, after we're done with our live streams, you can see them on YouTube at Unearthly Podcast. You can catch us on Twitch for the live streams at Unearthly Podcast. You can find our Twitter feed at Unearthly Pod, Facebook at Unearthly Podcast, and if you enjoy the show enough to throw a few shillings our way, you can also catch us at An Unearthly Podcast on Patreon.
All right, so next week, well, this is the last we see of Harry Sullivan. Heck, we won't see the Brig again for almost 10 years. But we still have Sarah Jane, or at least until The Hand of Fear, written by Bob Baker and Dave Martin, and starring Tom Baker as the Doctor and Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith. So, see you next week for that.
Mm-hmm.
See you all next week.
And hopefully Bill will be back, too.
Yep.
Lots of reviews.
Yeah, we'll see how much he managed to see. That might be, next week might just be Bill's review of Shame Unmasked.
It'll make up for the lack of news we might still have. Anyways, good night.
Night night.